Today we'll be taking a look at the principle of grace, and it's important that we understand the basis of this. Grace simply means the unmerited favor. It's some other people might interpret grace to mean the God's intervention in man's affair. And a lot of time we find it difficult to draw a line between the products of our actions, the product of our abilities, the product of our sweats, the product of our connections, the product of our family background, and the product of the knowledge we have, and also the products of God's independent intervention. And whilst we will not necessarily condemn the aspect of individual efforts, productivity, connections, networking, academic excellence, and what have you, it's important also we understand this simple principle that is the hallmark of ultimate progress. And let me use this example. When you have a coconut shell to crack, for instance, most times it does not crack after the first hit. It takes several hits before the coconut cracks. Then if I were to ask you, which of the hits, is it the first hit, the 7th, the 10th, the 50th that cracked the coconuts? You might be tempted to assume that it was the last hit, maybe the 7th or the 50th that cracked it. But truly, that might not be. Every successive hit from the very first to the last played a role. But you see, beyond the whole thing, the important one is the role played by divine placements. That whether you hit it the first time or the last time, coconuts are meant to crack. And when we understand that grace of God, it helps us to progress faster in life. So going back to talk about grace, the unmerited favor, we must understand that it does not diminish our efforts. It does not diminish our desire to aspire, our desire to progress. It only brings into perspective the ability you've got to intervene despite our abilities, despite our successes, despite of our capabilities. And it's important that we underline that fact so that we don't go around thinking it's just about us. Now there's a place in the scripture that says that the horse is made ready for the day of battle. The victory belongs to God. There's another place in the scripture, it tells us that it is not of him that willeth, neither is it of him that runneth, it is of the Lord that showeth mercy. Another one, scripture said, it's not by power, not by might, but by my spirit. All these three scriptures are interpreting one thing: the power of a divine intervention. That it's outside your own arrangements, that it's outside your own ability. And from time to time, God brings it to place. That is why the greatest of men doesn't necessarily mean the person who came from the best of background. That is why the greatest of jobs do not necessarily come to the first class owners. That is why the greatest of pursuit, the greatest of campaigns or of elections are not won by the best candidates. A lot of time it has to do with the grace of God. And when we learn to depend on God's grace, to bring our individual abilities to the timeline, and we depend on His grace, because you might have the fastest spike and your strength might fail you on the day of competition, and the underdog will win.